a killer whale breaches, its immense body slicing through the water, in a breathtaking display of power and grace. The splash echoes across the stadium, capturing the awe of everyone watching. Atop its nose, a trainer balances with practiced ease, an image that, for years, defined the magic and allure of marine parks like SeaWorld, where humans and orcas seem to perform in perfect harmony. For decades, this spectacle was a symbol of our fascination with mastering the wild, drawing millions of visitors eager to witness the apparent bond between human and whale. The crowds cheered, believing they were seeing a partnership built on trust and mutual respect. But beneath the surface, ethical questions linger. Is it right to confine such intelligent, far-ranging animals for our entertainment? What do we sacrifice for the sake of spectacle? The smiling trainer and leaping whale mask a reality of stress, compromised welfare, and lives spent in tanks far removed from the vast oceans these creatures once called home. What was once celebrated as harmless fun is now scrutinized as potential cruelty, sparking protests and calls for change from animal advocates around the world. The debate over captive whales and dolphins reflects a broader shift in how we view our relationship with animals, challenging us to reconsider traditions and entertainment that once seemed unquestionable. As our understanding grows, so does our responsibility to question the cost of our desire to be close to the wild. We are compelled to ask, what do these animals lose, and what do we gain? The killer whale's leap is no longer just a show, it's a mirror for our evolving conscience, urging us to reflect on the true meaning of respect and compassion for the creatures we admire. The urge to collect and display animals stretches back thousands of years, rooted deep in our shared human history. From the earliest days, people have been fascinated by the wild, seeking to capture its mystery and majesty. Ancient rulers in Mesopotamia, Egypt, and China kept menageries filled with exotic creatures, symbols of power, wealth, and dominion over nature. These collections were often hidden within palace walls, accessible only to the elite. Pharaohs paraded giraffes and leopards before their subjects. Chinese emperors curated gardens of intelligence, where rare animals were displayed as living wonders and diplomatic gifts. These collections were about more than curiosity. They reinforced social hierarchies, projected authority, and demonstrated a ruler's ability to command the farthest reaches of the known world. Roman emperors showcased lions and tigers as ultimate status symbols, while others used animals for brutal spectacles that entertained the masses and reinforced imperial might. The motivations, power, knowledge, entertainment, remain familiar even today, echoing through the centuries in our continued fascination with the animal kingdom. Early menageries laid the foundation for the modern zoo, establishing a tradition of bringing the wild under human control and making it accessible to the public for the first time. The animals were living trophies, proof of a ruler's reach, ambition, and ability to shape the world around them. This legacy still shapes our fascination with zoos, reminding us of our enduring desire to connect with, understand, and sometimes control the wonders of the natural world. Before public zoos, animal collections were the exclusive domain of monarchs and emperors. Moctezuma's menagerie in Tenochtitlan, Charlemagne's elephant, and the Mughal emperor's stables all served as living displays of power. Parading rare animals was political theater, proof that rulers could tame the wild and command the impossible. These creatures became part of royal pageantry, inspiring awe and reinforcing authority. The sight of a lion in London or a giraffe in Florence was meant to dazzle and intimidate. For centuries, animals were the ultimate luxury, tangible proof of absolute power. The tradition of spectacle and wonder endures in the DNA of today's zoos. The Enlightenment transformed private menageries into public zoos, driven by science and empire. Vienna's Tiergarten Schönbrunn and Paris's Jardin des Plantes became centers for study, not just spectacle. The London Zoo opened for scientific research, later admitting the public to fund its work. Colonial expansion fueled these collections. Animals were extracted from conquered lands as symbols of imperial might. Early zoos displayed animals in stark cages, emphasizing their foreignness and captivity. The act of viewing reinforced Western superiority and human dominance over nature. Zoos became microcosms of empire, blending scientific curiosity with displays of power. The legacy of this era still shapes how we see animals in captivity. The darkest chapter in zoo history saw humans put on display. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, human zoos exhibited indigenous people alongside animals, reinforcing racist ideologies. Individuals like Otabenga were dehumanized, treated as curiosities for Western audiences. These exhibits justified colonialism and hierarchy, reducing people to living artifacts. Suffering, trauma, and loss of dignity were common for those forced into these spectacles. This history exposes the dangers of objectification and the power dynamics behind exhibition. Remembering it is essential as we reflect on the ethics of all displays, animal or human. Facing mounting criticism over animal welfare and ethics, zoos began to reinvent themselves as centers for conservation in the late 20th century. Public attitudes were changing, and zoos needed to adapt to survive in a world increasingly concerned with the fate of wildlife. The mission shifted dramatically, from simply entertaining visitors to actively preserving endangered species and supporting global biodiversity. Zoos started to focus on education, research, and direct action to help animals in need. Success stories like the Arabian oryx and California condor demonstrate zoos' potential to save species from extinction. These animals, once nearly lost forever, now survive thanks to coordinated efforts in zoos and reserves. Captive breeding and reintroduction programs have brought animals back from the brink, giving hope to species that had vanished from their native habitats. These programs require years of dedication and collaboration across continents. Modern zoos argue they are lifeboats, genetic reservoirs, and research hubs in a world of shrinking habitats. They contribute vital scientific knowledge, helping us understand animal health, genetics, and behavior. They educate the public and fund field conservation, playing a vital role for species like the black-footed ferret and golden lion tamarin. Through outreach and hands-on learning, zoos inspire the next generation of conservationists. Critics question whether these successes justify captivity, but for some species, zoos have been the last hope. The debate continues, challenging zoos to balance animal welfare with conservation goals. The modern zoo's relevance now hinges on its commitment to genuine conservation, transparency, and ethical practices. Only by prioritizing animal well-being and real-world impact can zoos maintain public trust. The focus has shifted, not just what animals can do for us, but what we can do for them. This new perspective is shaping the future of zoos worldwide. The future of zoos depends on this promise, to protect, restore, and inspire hope for wildlife everywhere. Despite conservation wins, zoos and aquariums face growing ethical scrutiny. Critics argue that no enclosure can replicate the freedom and complexity of the wild, especially for intelligent social animals like elephants and orcas. The story of Tilikum, the orca from Blackfish, sparked a movement against marine mammal captivity. Public opinion is shifting, bans and reforms are spreading, and even SeaWorld has ended orca breeding. Zookeepers, often deeply devoted, grapple with the moral compromises of captivity. As science reveals more about animal minds, our responsibility grows. The future of zoos will depend on empathy, science, and a commitment to animal dignity. The question is no longer just what animals can do for us, but what we owe them.